I was both extremely flattered and unsure if I was the right person. I asked if he had thought about one of his longtime teaching colleagues doing the honor, or possibly an alumnus or two that he knew better. He said he had discussed this with a few folks and came to the conclusion I was fairly well suited for the job. After all, I'm one of Kelly's former students. I took French for at least 3 years with him in high school. I played soccer for him. I'm a former colleague as we worked together for 8 years at Columbus Academy. I'm a good friend. And since I own several of his paintings, and he has a show coming up soon at the Kenny Galleries, he figured this was a good time to stroke my ego. Now, those of you who know Kelly know that that last comment is something he would not say, because Kelly Moody has always put others before self. It's for this reason and many others that the Alumni Board was very pleased to select him as the 2009 Alumni Service Award recipient. Your program has a couple sentences about Kelly's tenure at the school, and what I want to do is share with you just a few comments from alumni, some who graduated in the 70s and some who graduated as recently as 2006, that were given to us for a booklet we created for Kelly when he retired back in 2007. I think these will give you an idea of why he was such a beloved teacher and mentor and advisor. Mr. Moody had the rare ability to combine humor and warmth with a thoughtful, intellectual approach to education. Kelly respected and challenged all students with many realms of variety and encouraged each to learn, enjoy, reflect, and live. He inspired us to look beyond the expected and to focus on what really mattered and what really inspired us. He was an incredibly compassionate teacher and mentor, and his zest for life and learning were evident in the classroom. Kelly's deep, broad knowledge of music added new aspects to our education. I remember him telling a few of us on the 1973 JV soccer team at halftime of a game about an astonishing new act he'd seen at a concert the night before by a little-known songwriter from New Jersey by the name of Spring Something. He said this was somebody we'd probably want to keep an eye on, and that he described the guy as an incredible performer who just feeds you energy. So, Kelly, I'm wondering what happened to that Spring Something guy all these years later. And lastly, one alumnus wrote, "What Mr. Moody taught me outside of academics ended up being much more valuable. Although I've forgotten a lot of the French I learned, I will always remember his friendship. I will always remember the importance of teamwork. I will always remember not to give up. And I will always remember that there are times when the effort is more important than the result." So Kelly, on behalf of the Alumni Association, I'm pleased to recognize you as the 2009 Alumni Service Award recipient. Please come up.
Well, thank you, Eric, for those kind words and thoughts. How could we have known back in 1981 when you graduated that one day you would come back to Academy, serve as assistant headmaster? We're so lucky that you did. You have taken fundraising and alumni relations to brand new levels and a standard of excellence that we all recognize and appreciate. So we thank you for that. And if I had known you were going to come back to the Academy and play such an important role here, I would have given you better grades. No, actually, as we know, Eric was an excellent student and athlete when he was at Academy. Many of you are here today that taught him and coached him, and I know you would agree that today he is just an older version of the young man that we knew then, working harder than he should, exceeding expectations, setting newer and higher goals, and meeting them. Loyal, and above all, probably I would say, a gentleman, in the old-fashioned sense of the word, a true gentleman. And Eric, thank you so much. And I want to greet all of you. It's so nice to see so many Vikings here in one room and have it not be a faculty meeting. Mr. McKenzie, Mr. Carmichael, Joe, colleagues, alums, class of 2009, friends, It's really, really good to see you. Thanks for being here. It would be impossible for me to say everything that I would like to say, but please allow me just a few minutes to touch on a couple of things. First of all, I am truly honored and humbled by this award, and it means more to me than you might think. I came into teaching and coaching not so much by design as by default. Before I started at Academy, I had tried my hand at a number of things. Examples: unloading boxcars at a lumberyard in Houston, working as an apprentice mechanic, Volkswagen, working at Citibank on the Champs-Élysées in Paris, waiting tables at a club on Bourbon Street, working in a bomb factory during the Vietnam War, working as a reporter and cameraman for KWX-TV in Waco, Texas, working for the Upper Arlington Public Library, and working for Governor John Gilligan just across the street, helping to get the original Ohio EPA off the ground back in 1972 and 73. At any rate, none of these jobs really seemed to suit me or satisfy me, and I quit them all. And I was running out of ideas, frankly. I became convinced that my fate probably awaited me on the left bank in Paris, living some kind of bohemian existence. But before I could follow through on that idea, a good friend managed to convince me that I should at least consider trying teaching. So I sent out some resumes, and wouldn't you know it, the Columbus Academy was looking for a French teacher and assistant soccer coach. Everett Perkins, or Monsieur Perquin, or Perk as he was affectionately known at the time, had decided to retire, and K.C. Bourne had built up the soccer program at Academy to such a point that he needed an assistant coach. My French and soccer background led me to a couple of interviews with headmaster Bill Putnam, and I was hired to begin at the Academy in August of 1973. And my plans to move back to Paris were put on hold. I figured I would give teaching and coaching a try, but I truly believed that it would last maybe a year, maybe two at the most. But then something very strange happened. I began to realize that I was actually enjoying what I was doing. Here I was, teaching and coaching things that I loved to bright, energetic, college-bound young men from Columbus's finest families, and working with a very talented and interesting group of colleagues at a small, beautiful school out in the country. I mean, how good does it get? And my yearning for a life in Paris began to fade. Years led to years. The years passed to decades, and 3 decades plus have led me to be here now in front of you. And so quickly that it's just downright scary.